This is Echoes, a U-Krant podcast. In it, Christien Boomsma, Rob van der Wal, and me, Tom Wilcox, introduce you to remarkable people and extraordinary events from 4 centuries of UG history. From persecuted Scottish students fleeing to 17th century Groningen to a Russian spy seducing a UG physicist. This is The Woman Who Could See the Fourth Dimension, about British housewife Alicia Boole Stott, who could see dimensions that other mathematicians could only calculate. There was a letter on the doormat. Hendrik Pieter Schoute frowned as he picked it up. He turned it over and over in his hand. The address on the envelope was written in fine, feminine handwriting. In the top right corner, he saw the image of Queen Victoria. It was 1895, after all, and Victoria was the Queen of the United Kingdom. There was a stamp that showed that the letter had been sent from Liverpool. But he didn't know anyone in Liverpool, and the Groningen mathematician had never heard of the sender, Alicia Boole Stott. Curious, he tore open the envelope. Who is this woman, he wondered. What did she want from him? But then he saw the pictures she had sent him, and his mouth fell open in amazement. They were pictures of round shapes folded from cardboard. And he recognized them instantly. These were 3-dimensional representations of polytopes, 4 or even multi-dimensional mathematical shapes. The same ones he had been researching for some time now. Hurriedly, he began to read. The woman told him her husband had pointed her to one of his publications on polytopes in the 4th dimension. Schoute had been a professor of mathematics in Groningen since 1881. And this was his hobby horse. He used mathematical analysis to find out what regular geometric figures, a triangle for example, or a cube, would look like in the 4th dimension. And that, Alicia wrote in her letter, was exactly what she did. Only she didn't use complicated analysis to do it. No, Alicia Boole Stott could visualize it in her head. She then recreated what she saw in her head in cardboard. She did all this without having had any formal training in the craft. She was a housewife who otherwise spent her days raising her 2 children and cleaning her house. Schoute was baffled. He did not hesitate for a moment and wrote back. Not only did he want to meet this extraordinary woman, he wanted to work with her. Alicia Boole Stott was, in fact, a remarkable woman. She was the 3rd daughter of Irish mathematician George Boole, the man we now regard as one of the founders of computer science. But he died when she was 4 years old, so, apart from his genes, her father had little to impart to her. The family was not rich, and Alicia did not get much education. What she learned came from her mother, who was a teacher and librarian and had a great interest in mathematics. Her brother-in-law, Howard Hinton, also served as an inspiration. He was a teacher as well and was interested in the 4th dimension. Hinton tried to understand it by making countless small cubes, which he also gave to Alicia and her sisters. They had to try to put them together to visualize the 4th dimension. These days, no one cares what Hinton came up with. His ideas were too confused to be of any lasting value, famous mathematician Donald Coxeter thought. But for Alicia, it meant embarking on a path in which she soon surpassed her brother-in-law. The basic idea is as follows. A simple 2-dimensional square drawn on a piece of paper turns into 3 dimensions when you draw lines from the corners up at the same angle. You can do the same with a triangle or an octagon. If you want to bring such shapes into the 4th dimension, you have to do the same thing again, only then it becomes very difficult to imagine the shape in your head. If you then want to visualize these shapes in a lower dimension, you have to unfold them, so to speak, just as you would do with a cardboard cube. But even then, you can only visualize one of the faces. Schoute needed endless calculations to do this. But Alicia Boole Stott actually saw the shapes in her head and recreated them, and they matched exactly what Schoute had done. Schoute travelled to England and persuaded her to publish her work. Her first article appeared in the Verhandelingen der Koninklijke Academie van Wetenschappen in Amsterdam in 1900. In 1907, they travelled to Leicester, where Boole Stott exhibited her models at the annual meeting of the British Association of the Advancement of Science. The pair ended up working together for 20 years. Schoute went to England several times, where he and Boole Stott would then stay with her cousin. In addition, they wrote to each other often. Schoute was open about their collaboration and gave her all the credit she deserved. Since her work forms the basis of my general analytical proof, I feel obliged to mention her results first, he wrote in a 1912 article. It was a welcome distraction for Boole Stott's life at home.
I have not done anything more interesting than staining very shabby floors and such like household things for some time. But last night I received by post a manuscript of 70 very closely written pages, containing an analytical counterpart of my last geometrical paper. Of course I must read it. It is the second attempt, and was only written because I did not like the first. But I am such a duffer at analytical work anyhow, that I don't suppose I shall like this very much better.
But alas, in 1913, aged 67, Schoute died, and Boole Stott disappeared from the scene. She did receive an honorary doctorate from the University of Groningen the following year, in 1914, for her contributions to mathematics. But she did not seem very impressed by the honor. The university had arranged for her to stay with Schoute's widow, but on the list of the 67 candidates, the words "will not come" appeared behind her name. And when she was sent the document in a cardboard tube, she said,
"This will be a good place to keep sticks of macaroni."
For 17 years, no one from the mathematical world heard anything from this remarkable woman, until she met 23-year-old Donald Coxeter in 1930, with whom she developed an intense friendship. They did not publish together, but Coxeter regularly wrote about her contributions to his work. In Groningen, she seems to have been forgotten for the longest time. The University Museum did have some of her models in its collection, but no one knew exactly how they got there. Until, in 2001, a roll of drawings turned up in the basement at Nijenborg 4. They were not signed, but soon turned out to match some cardboard models in the University Museum. Then, more than 60 years after the former's death in 1940, the relationship between Boole Stott and Schoute was rediscovered, and with it her unique contribution to Groningen science. The University Museum in Groningen still owns the models Boole Stott made for Schoute. Unfortunately, they are not on display at the moment. Another set is on display at the Volks Institute for Geometry, Centre for Mathematical Sciences, Cambridge University. This episode was written and researched by Christien Boomsma. Sound by Rob van der Wal. Voice, Tom Wilcox and Giulia Fabrizi. More information can be found in the show notes.